So a concept that I've seen going around for quite a while now, and honestly one that I wanted to try for ages and ages, is the idea of taking animals and transfiguring or transforming them into dragons. Now, for me, this is like a further pledged concept of imaginative perspective where you take something and make it extraordinary in any style you want. It could be fantasy or cyberpunk or futurism. But this time it's dragons! Dragons are like a whole thing for me. I won't go into it in this video, it's a whole nother thing. And this won't just be me doing it, it'll be a guide for you as well. I've actually written down a couple steps which I think are really helpful in doing this challenge if you want to try it yourself. Before we get started though, please do like, subscribe, follow, share. I love any support and community feedback, and I've actually started a Patreon, a Reddit and a Discord quite recently. I will leave those up at the end if you want to join. Right, so the first thing we need to do is obviously go ahead and randomise some animals, and I'm also going to randomise the sort of dragon type, just because it adds a bit of extra challenge. You don't have to do this, it's just a thing I've decided to do myself. But let's go. Now, the second twist I'm actually putting on this is I'm going to try and include pop culture and real world events. So obviously Kids in Need is kind of the whole of November, so I'm actually going to do a Pudsey Bear dragon, and also I'm going to do a Garfield dragon, because as you know the Garfield trailer came out fairly recently, and then I'm also going to do my own, which I'm actually going to randomise from WWF. Enum. Oh, and actually while I'm on the topic for this, I'm actually saying the numbers in the language that I've essentially created for a multiverse that I'm building at the moment called the CCU. It's on the channel on a playlist, check it out if you want to. So, of course, you're going to first want to go ahead and basically generate or randomise some animals. I'm doing the dragon types as well here, as you can see. And then what you want to do is gradually begin practicing drawing the sort of outcome animals. So this will be dragons this time round. In sort of positions and ways you want it to look on the final piece, get that idea straight into your head, do like a couple key feature things as well. Torrond. So once you really like grasp the idea and the structure of the animal you're going to be drawing, so the dragon this time 11, all good, then you want to really try and essentially draw it in loads of different positions. Could be just one main one, really make it look conceptual. It all depends on your style really. I'm personally going for a cryptid / grimoire, but don't forget to add indications for key features. So what you want to do here is basically chuck in your base colours. So these will be sort of colour tones you've taken from the image. They can be any sort of shade. I would suggest somewhere in the medium range, because you're going to do your highlights, shadows, darker and lighter tones a bit after this. A good idea is actually to take samples from the picture you're using as well. And as you can see here, I'm actually giving higher indication of details. I'm using a low opacity but quite large brush on Pudsey and Garfield to give it sort of like a fuzzy texture. So begin to add darker tones and shades, and also add highlights and really build up the detail. Again, make this really strong image or this softer image depending on the style you're going for. I am not really used to digital paintings. This is kind of like a nuance for me. Obviously some people have their very specific styles, so you might be going more towards that direction. Galkdol. So essentially all you're doing at this final level or stage is adding shadows and highlights. This can be tints as well as glows. This is all basically just lighting. And for a couple I did very shiny ones, but for the Garfield and Pudsey they're fuzzy. And for the Garfield I went more with like a children's book illustration style, whereas Pudsey I really tried to go in with the hair, which was a bit difficult. And another thing I've been trying to remind myself to do ever since I started art is write my signature and the date. It can just be your name if you don't have a signature yet. This is one I've just made up, and it's one I'm going to use on every piece from now on. But now I think it's time for the reveal, to see the finished pieces. What are these dragons? Alright, let's go. Now, as a bit of an extra, I've actually devised 6 decisive categories to easily understand each creature. They involve diet and feeding habits, properties, strategies, characteristics, appearance, and habitat. I've also given them scientific names meaning genus and species, and actually their dragon names as well. First off, we have Rhinoc Draco, then is Puza Basiliska, and then is Garphidus Lindwormus. Simple, yet effective. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Please do feel free to check out my socials, everything else on the channel. I've started a Reddit and a Discord recently, and I'm actually going to start a Patreon fairly soon as well, actually get it up and running, possibly run a store as well. It's all coming together with my laptop back, and I'm going into sort of like a new era with the channel, which is really amazing. So I'll see you all very soon. I've got another great idea that I want to try in the last 5 days in November, and it is going to be amazing. Bye.